Hey folks, David Stewart here. Hope you guys are having a tremendous day. Time for some more Storycraft. Today we're going to talk a little bit about courtroom drama, which is an extremely popular and important genre here in the United States. It exists in almost every form of media that I can think of. It's probably least present in comics, but very popular in movies, books, especially TV, but even games. If you've ever played the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney series, that is a gamified version of a courtroom drama. I think it's really popular on television because it fits the 1 hour television drama format really well. Each week you can have a different episode that has a different permutation on the elements of a courtroom drama, a different story that plugs into the structure of a courtroom drama, and it can remain compelling for a long time. Law and Order has been going on for decades at this point with all of its various spin-offs. And you can go way back to stuff like Perry Mason, very popular. Classic books like To Kill a Mockingbird feature courtroom drama, if not being totally centered on courtroom drama. And you have writers like John Grisham that have made entire careers out of courtroom drama. The center of courtroom drama, what makes courtroom drama so appealing, is the conflict of justice. This is the conflict that's present in virtually every story that you're going to see. It's not just about a character trying to get something he wants, like get the girl, win the big game or something. It is about resolving tension that arises from injustice. And this can have a couple of different presentations. The first one is there's a guilty person who needs to be punished. Somebody did something wrong, and we're going to sue him and we're going to make him pay, and the victim is going to be compensated, or we're going to catch him and we're going to lock him up in prison even though he's somebody really important like a senator or a president. Kind of like ups the stakes, so that's that. A guilty person must be punished. We're going to resolve our tension of emotions. We're going to have that catharsis in the courtroom where the person is finally found guilty and sent away, or they lose their civil case and have to pay restitution to the victim. The other one is a reverse of that. An innocent person is accused of a crime, and through the actions of the courtroom, we're going to prove that he's innocent. We're going to save an innocent life. That is also really potent. In fact, I would say that kind of injustice evokes almost more powerful emotions because it's something that we can imagine ourselves being falsely accused. We don't ever imagine ourselves as the bad guy needing to be locked up. At least most people don't. They imagine themselves like, I'm a good guy and something bad happens to me, and I can imagine how bad that would be. So we have a really strong empathetic response to somebody who's been a victim and needs to fix that. Or it could be somebody who's being falsely sued. Somebody's being sued for something that they didn't do, like a mean lawyer is trying to crush their life. That could be a reversal of that first kind. And the third kind isn't so much about needing to resolve injustice through the courtroom itself, but rather the courtroom is going to decide what justice is. So there's a moral question at the heart of the conflict. A really good example of this is John Grisham's A Time to Kill, which a lot of people don't realize this. There's a subtle thing, like you can go watch the movie and see it with imagine this thing and then imagine they're white. It was inspired by a case where the races were actually reversed. Just a fun little tidbit. But the question is not whether the character in the movie played by Samuel L. Jackson is guilty or innocent, whether he really did it or didn't. He did it. He did the action. But whether it was just for him to do it or not. So there's a moral question about, is what he did really wrong? And the courtroom is going to be the center of where that's going to happen. Is what happened really just? So it's a question of what justice is. So those are the three different variations of the conflict of justice that we see in the courtroom. That's what drives the story, and that's the thing that has to be resolved. In a courtroom drama, it's almost always resolved in the courtroom. At that same time, we can also have twists on the conflict, right? The courtroom is a great place to have lots of different little twists where somebody presents some evidence and it turns out we were rooting for the wrong guy. Hey, the supposedly falsely accused guy, he actually did it, or he's actually a bad guy in some sort of way. We find out something about him that changes our perspective on the conflict and makes us think about things differently. So courtroom drama is excellent at that because we can use, I guess, the inspiration of courtroom procedure to present different facts for the story that change the viewer, the audience's perspective on what's going on. If you want to talk about plot formats for a courtroom drama, what you usually have is a mystery plot format. I've talked about this many times before, but a mystery format means you have to discover something in order to resolve the conflict. We're trying to discover a way to prove the innocent man innocent. We're trying to discover a way to nail down this rich criminal. We're trying to discover a way to figure out how, what is the true morality in question here with something like A Time to Kill. So that's the usual format. You don't need to think like too deeply more than that. You can break it up into 3 acts with 3 big points of tension. Those points of tension can happen in the courtroom or outside of the courtroom. If you've read any sort of John Grisham books, you'll probably grasp this by reading them, is that there'll be a basic conflict at the beginning. There'll be some sort of twist that happens about a third of the way into the book that changes the way that you are operating on the conflict, what the main character is doing. And then you're going to have something that happens towards the second third of the book that then alters the strategy for what you're doing in the courtroom. The last thing is characters. What sort of characters do you have in a courtroom drama? Well, all kinds, but especially lawyers. Now, lawyers don't have to be good people and they don't have to be bad people, but having the protagonist as a lawyer means the protagonist doing the protagging is doing lawyer things. He's investigating a case, he's coming up with arguments, he's finding witnesses, and he's doing the procedure that's in the courtroom. So usually the protagonist is a lawyer of some kind. It could be a police officer, or you can have a cast of characters where lots of the secondary characters may be police officers or like a paralegal or something like that. Or your main character could be the defendant or the plaintiff in a case, and the lawyer is a secondary character helping them to achieve justice in some sort of way. Main point is that the lawyers are going to feature very heavily in a courtroom drama, as you would expect. Now, I do want to caution anybody who's thinking of writing a courtroom drama to consider the reality that a true courtroom is very different from what you see on TV. And this is, I guess, this point is even more important when you consider that different countries run their courts in different ways. In the United States, we have this system with a plaintiff and a defendant where the judge is sort of a referee, but there's inquisitorial systems in other countries where the judge is taking an active role in the investigation of right and wrong, and is actually, if there's a jury, is interacting more directly with the jury rather than managing the rules of the game. I think American courtroom drama is very popular because it is a bit like a sports contest. It's this side and that side. There's rules to the game. They're playing with the rules. Sometimes people are breaking the rules and being cheaters, and you're finding lots of different little ways to win, to actually have victory in this game with this referee called the judge. Now, if you've never litigated a case, never been part of a case as a plaintiff or a defendant, or if you're a lawyer, why are you watching this? But anyway, if you've never been a part of a case that's been actually litigated, gone to trial, first of all, you're a lucky person. But go to a court sometime and see if you can step into a public trial and just watch what's going on and see how things are so different from what's presented on TV. What you see on TV is like a highlight reel of what might actually be happening in a courtroom. So it's inspired by courtrooms, but it's nothing like what's actually going on. One of the things you'll notice with TV courtroom drama is you have lawyers moving around all the time. And this is because actors need to act. We need to have them move around. They need to use their body to act. They need to look interesting. Because otherwise, if it was like it is in the courtroom, they'd just be standing up and sitting down from a desk. And they'd have to ask to approach the witness or approach the bench, approach the judge. They can't just walk around. They can't yell at witnesses and things like that. And there are many rules to procedure. The truth about lawyering is that most of it is things that are not very dramatic. It's case law and procedure. And there are really, really big cases in the United States that have gone like all the way to the Supreme Court that have had to do with procedure and nothing to do with the law per se, but rather how the courts executed the law. and how they're allowed to execute the law, how the procedure is allowed to happen for fairness and things like that. So procedure, knowing civil and criminal procedure is really important. If you could look up a lecture that introduces you to civil and criminal procedure, and then go see a courtroom and see how it's put into action, that will give you a much better idea of what the reality is, so that then you can lend some realism to your story, but also that you don't do things that are really obviously incorrect, that somebody who's at least a little bit knowledgeable or reading like, that's not, that wouldn't happen in an actual courtroom. The writer that I think is really good at this is John Grisham, because he's a lawyer himself. So you'll find lots of little tidbits with procedure that change the course of a book. And one of my favorite books by him, if you want to read a courtroom drama book that I happen to think is really good, is The Rainmaker. It was made into a movie. I think it's a Francis Ford Coppola movie starring Matt Damon and Danny DeVito. It's a very good movie as well, so you could skip the book and read the movie, but I like the book a lot because there's lots of little plot change directions that have to do with procedure, the way evidence is introduced. And the antagonist is a lawyer in Rainmaker who is very good at procedure and is able to stop this young lawyer from introducing really important evidence that would change the case. That ups the feeling of the conflict, because he's suing on behalf of somebody who their son died because he wasn't getting any insurance. Well, he would have died anyway, but the medical insurance company was not paying out for any of his treatment. So his mom was like horribly in debt from paying for his cancer treatment. And the lawyer, the antagonist lawyer, is very good at procedure and is able to stop things that would critically change the way the case went because of his deep knowledge of procedure. So procedure, on the surface, it's rather boring, but it can change the way a plot goes if you know it really well. The other one is case law. How do you bring case law in? Is you really don't show a lawyer researching it so much as you show the results of it. Oh, I found this case that suggests this, and when we write our brief, we can talk about this case, and this case is the linchpin to our argument about this. You can write really good philosophical and legal arguments from case law if you just make up a case. You can make up a fictional case that does something like that. It doesn't have to be real case law. But that's the heart of lawyering. It's procedure and case law. And exploiting different kinds of asymmetries in the courtroom is where the real skill of the litigant comes in. I'll give you a couple examples of things that can happen in real courtrooms and can be part of a great courtroom drama. One is intentionally saying or doing things that would be subject to an objection. You may know, objection, Your Honor. What is an objection? That's when somebody's violated some element of procedure, usually. They've said something they weren't supposed to say. They've introduced some piece of evidence in a way that they're not supposed to do. They have brought in some sort of not allowed exterior evidence. You asked a witness something that's irrelevant. You ask them about, isn't it true? And you can do things that, be like, isn't it true that you were arrested in 2007 for endangering a minor? Objection, Your Honor, withdrawn. Now, why does that little event matter? Well, it matters because the jury heard it. So even though something can be struck from the court record for appeal, the jury hears it. So lawyers will a lot of times play with these sorts of procedural rules so that they can influence the jury in ways that are a little bit outside the bounds of the rules. Now, they technically followed the rules with the objection, withdrew the question, but the jury heard the question and they heard the way it was stated. He didn't ask him, were you ever arrested? He asked him, isn't it true that you were arrested in July 2nd, 1997 for child endangerment? That sort of thing matters to the jury. The jury keeps those things in its head. It remembers those events when it goes to deliberate and decide whether somebody should get a judgment or not. So these are lots of little elements that you could put into a courtroom drama to kind of up the ante of what's going on, and not only lend some realism, but some real drama, some real excitement, some adding tension to that sense of injustice. If somebody's breaking the rules and getting away with it, that heightens our need to have the injustice resolved. It heightens the need for catharsis. And if somebody is winning and like everything's going their way, it's a great time to put in a twist. Hey man, we're winning, we're winning, we're winning. Uh-oh, I found a piece of evidence that says my client was really guilty. Great time to switch that conflict around and turn it upside down. These sorts of stories are amazing for that sort of reversal, and you can do it so easily just by not by having to tell any other part of the story. You don't have to have a chapter where a character goes and does something. You just have to have another character come in and be like, here's a piece of evidence that completely changes the context of the entire story and reverses everything. Those are really good techniques that you can use in a courtroom drama. You can also use, by the way, courtroom drama as a kind of a sub story within a larger story, as a little subplot. So if you play through a game like KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, there's a courtroom drama section on this aquatic planet. So having a little courtroom drama section in the middle of your game or your comic book, there's often in comic books, or some other story, it's a great little break for something like this, and a really easy way to introduce these little reversals or ask questions of justice, that sort of thing. And if you're doing a series, you can always have a book that does courtroom drama for an episode, or anything like that for one of your books or for a TV series, something like that. It's a really good switch up because it has such a compelling conflict, and it's so easy to change the direction of the conflict by introducing new things that you don't have to do a lot of setup for ahead of time. So anyway, that's courtroom drama. Leave me your thoughts down below on what you think about the genre and what you think about its use, maybe as a subplot outside the genre. And if you've ever done it before, I haven't really done that much of it, but I did a little bit of study of it and thinking about it for this video. To think what's the core component there is the sense of justice. If you look at a classic book like To Kill a Mockingbird, what's the conflict? It's, well, an innocent man was accused. We're going to discover his innocence, and ultimately we're going to fail. We're not going to fully resolve the problem of the injustice going on in To Kill a Mockingbird. And that's kind of the point, is that it doesn't resolve. Not all conflicts, by the way, have to go the way that you want the audience wants them to go. They can go the opposite direction too, and that can be really useful because that makes a point about the world. A tragic conclusion versus a comedy. Both of those are valid ways to approach storytelling, in my opinion. So, anyway, let me know what you think down below. Don't forget to jump on my mailing list, dvspress.com/list or dvspress.com/free-book to get a free copy of Demon Ex Machina. That's the free book for this year. I'm working on lots of stuff for the fall. I tend to be busy in the fall and put out more things, so that's what I'm working on this summer, including King Leper, which I've delayed for quite a while now because I need to fix things with it, but I'm going to try really hard to get it out, I promise. So thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.